A mystery, veiled behind shadows of time, waits for those bold enough to look beyond surface illusions. Kybalion. A word, a vibration, a locked gate to immortal wisdom, whose key you now discover turning, almost audibly, inside the inner sanctum of your awareness. This is not a random calling. In the ancient world, chance was never mere accident. It was understood as an operation of law, misunderstood only by the untrained mind. So, what if you are hearing these words at the precise threshold of readiness? What if the pages of history have conspired, silently, to orchestrate your presence here, now, in this momentum that bends through possibility's unseen corridors? The Kybalion itself is an enigma. Published quietly in the year 1908, it arrived beneath the shroud of three anonymous initiates, guardians as much as authors, signaling a lineage more profound than any single hand could pen. Their anonymity is no mere embellishment, for true Hermetic wisdom is protected, transmitted only to those who sense it in their marrow. The Kybalion is a distillation, the very elixir of Hermetism, yet it is also a threshold, one that only opens when the soul's code aligns. Its utterances shimmer as if stitched together from invisible filaments, offering entrance to those prepared to witness the invisible mechanisms of reality in motion. Tracing this river of wisdom upstream, one finds themselves before the mythical figure of Hermes Trismegistus, thrice great, whose essence fused the deity Thoth from Egypt, lord of wisdom and cosmic order, and Hermes, fleet messenger between realms in Greek myth. Through this living archetype, knowledge crossed worlds, becoming the pulse and marrow of the first mystery schools that flourished under the golden sun of ancient Egypt. In those sanctuaries, far from the reach of the uninitiated, walls blossomed with symbols not meant to be read, but experienced. Vibrational patterns that whispered codes by the beat of the heart, not the logic of the mind. In these hallowed spaces, wisdom was never simply imparted. It was encoded, layered, protected. It was not reserved for the privileged by birth, but for those whose yearning could not be silenced by comfort or conformity. The teachings of Hermes were not to be wielded as mere information. They were seeds, planted deep, designed to germinate only under the inner sun of maturation. To hold such knowledge prematurely could be disastrous. An advanced tool placed into hands, yet unable to perceive its import, leading inevitably toward distortion, misuse, even devastation. Thus, the word Hermetic found its place in common language, signifying things sealed, protected, shielded from casual gaze. Yet, for those ready to pierce the veil, ancient doors always stood slightly ajar, hints escaping through glyphs and spoken riddles. It is within this tradition of veiled transmission that the Kybalion emerges, a book that, to the unprepared, is opaque, but to those resonating with the right inner frequency, unfurls like a cosmic blossom drenched in secret light. Far older than its modern cover, the Hermetic wisdom preserved in the Kybalion is said to echo from an epoch shadowed far back beyond recorded time. A legacy of oral teaching, moving in rhythmic silence, hidden in plain sight across ages, cultures, and languages. Here, wisdom is not presented with the fanfare of dogma, but veiled in metaphor, protected from desecration by the unknowing or the reckless. Imagine ancient seekers gathered in echoing halls veiled in incense, their eyes reflecting the flicker of torches, their minds trained upon the question underlying all questions: how does reality arise? This was the mystery at the core, passed in sacred whispers and never written for the masses. The Kybalion's teachings, then, are not simply about esoteric knowledge for curiosity's sake. They are a manual for living within the hidden architecture of existence itself. This is a philosophy whose hooks dig into the very quantum nature of being, where mind, matter, and cosmos pulse in an endless interplay. It calls to those who have glimpsed the hollowness at the center of outward success and yearn for the thrum of something deeper, more authentic, originating not from public doctrine, but from the living temple inside. Why is it that this knowledge hides itself, not out of arrogance or a desire for exclusivity, but from respect for its potency? Like electricity, it can animate or annihilate, depending upon the hand that wields it. In an era where information saturates every corner, the Kybalion stands apart as a transmission for those receptive to vibration, those who recognize a call encrypted within the ache for answers. Hermetic wisdom knows that the world is not what it seems. Beneath the apparent chaos and surface phenomena lies a secret order, alive, ever-moving, always beckoning. And to perceive this order, to begin to consciously interact with it, is to awaken as a participant in creation itself. Thus begins your journey into the 7 Hermetic laws, a journey into the foundation stones upon which all dreams, disruptions, and destinies rest, awaiting your touch, your attunement, your awakening. The first of these cosmic laws, mentalism, opens the gateway. The universe, at its deepest layer, originates and unfolds as mind. All creation, seen or felt, all galaxies and grains of sand, spiral from the dreaming of a vast and ineffable intelligence simply called the All. This is not a distant deity, nor a metaphor, but rather, if you dare to really contemplate it, a living field of boundless consciousness in which everything is imagined into being. The most ancient teachings whisper that the universe is a kind of dream. Every component, every fleeting image, every story of fate. Each is a ripple in this boundless mind. Reality, then, is not an impersonal machine. It is plastic, responsive, shaped by intention as much as circumstance. Before anything can appear out there, it first arises within the limitless expanse of awareness, then within the churning cloud of thought, then within the arena of emotion and imagination. Here is the silent revolution. What you think, what you believe, what you expect, these silent echoes determine, with exquisite precision, the world in which you awaken each day. This law is more than philosophical abstraction. It is the matrix of power that enables you to mold experience directly. Consider how your beliefs sculpt the landscape of possibility. If you wear the lens of limitation, the outer world shrinks, its colors dull, its doors sealed tight. Yet, the moment you choose to entertain trust, curiosity, or hope, unnoticed pathways appear, as if existence itself rearranges in response to the currents of your inner dialogue. Your thoughts are not ghosts or afterthoughts. They are blueprints inscribed in the primal language of energy. The mental universe described by Hermetic philosophy is not a poetic notion, but a reality substantiated ever more by modern quantum physics. The perplexing realization that observation, expectation, even act of attention itself, alters the unfolding of matter at the subtlest scales. The mystics of the past and the physicists of today meet at this intersection, where belief collapses possibility into form. If the universe is consciousness expressing itself, then every fear and every desire, every wound and every aspiration becomes a creative act. This is why the Kybalion is more than a relic. It is a lever for those who dare to choose their thoughts with awareness. The call it issues is both liberating and formidable, for to claim the origin of reality is internal is to claim responsibility for the projections you cast. The world ceases to be a stage upon which you are a hapless actor and becomes a malleable tapestry, eager for the impress of your focused mind. Personal transformation, then, is not the mere acquisition of facts or philosophies. It is a gradual but inexorable reordering of the very terms upon which you relate to yourself. Each day, a new opportunity emerges to witness the contents of your mind, to notice the habitual scripts repeating, often beneath the surface of conscious attention. The Kybalion's promise is simple, yet the task it presents is profound. As you observe and tend to the garden of your interior world, the seeds you plant there, beliefs, affirmations, self-images, germinate into circumstances as real as stone. Mental alchemy is possible. By observing the tide of thoughts carefully, by uprooting those suffused with fear or worthlessness and replacing them with seeds of empowered possibility, you gradually recalibrate the frequency of your engagement with the universe. Even small shifts of perception, when repeated and stabilized, begin to coalesce into new realities. Hesitation gives way to action. Self-sabotage transforms into self-expression. Life's story arcs rewrite themselves before your eyes. Now, the question arises, and it is a question meant to be lived, not merely answered mentally. What will you do with this knowing? Will you consign it to the library of trivia, or will you begin to wield it, testing its truth in the crucible of your daily existence? In every moment, you hold the brush and the canvas. The new painting awaits your intention. Stepping deeper, we encounter the second Hermetic law, correspondence. It reveals a dazzling, unsettling truth. The layers of existence, from the most ethereal to the utterly tangible, are all woven from the same threads. What pulses at one level reflects and resonates at another. Here, the ancient axiom rings out: as above, so below. As within, so without. The shape of the cosmos, the cycles of the seasons, the undulations of your very moods, each is a signature of an underlying order. Every outer challenge mirrors an unresolved pattern inside. When disharmony arises at home, in the body, or within society, it beckons you not to fix merely the symptom, but to journey within and touch its origin at the roots of experience. Observe the repeating patterns in your relationships, your fortunes, your setbacks. These are no mere coincidences. Each pattern is an invitation, a coded message mapping the terrain of your subconscious. Life, then, becomes a classroom. Reality holds up a mirror, showing precisely what is required to evolve, heal, or integrate. If you rail against the reflection, nothing changes. If you peer inward with curiosity, the riddle begins to unravel. Cycles of difficulty soften into doorways of comprehension. Old wounds become catalyzers for depth and self-mastery. The external world does not exist in separation from your state. Rage, for instance, might summon conflict externally. Unresolved grief might manifest through isolation or missed opportunities. The keen disciple learns to look not only at what happens, but how it resonates with long-held beliefs and repressed emotions circulating within. If courage arises within, so too does opportunity. As generosity is cultivated, alliances appear seemingly from the ether. The Hermetic arts teach that every level, spiritual, mental, and material, is interconnected. As you journey toward harmony and clarity inside, your life synchronizes into patterns of beauty and integration. The tides of chaos recede. New doors open, not by force, but by resonance. And so, the message becomes clear. Master the inner, and the outer will bow to your new song. The universe, when examined through the eyes of Hermetic wisdom, is less a static construct and more a living ocean, in perpetual motion, vibration cascading through every inch of existence. This principle of vibration is not an idle philosophical curiosity. It is the dynamic heart of reality itself, humming at frequencies both sublime and dense, audible only to those attuned to this more subtle symphony. Everything vibrates. The solid table, the flowing water, the flesh and blood of your being, the storm clouds of thought coursing through your mind, each pulses at its unique frequency. These vibrations are not random, but woven from the very fabric of creative energy. The masters of old understood that to live unconsciously is to emit discordant vibrations, attracting experiences that echo confusion or pain. Yet, as awareness dawns, something remarkable happens. Vibration becomes conscious, a frequency tuned like a radio to the currents of intention and desire. The station you choose determines the song that plays through your life. The moods you harbor, the emotional landscapes you traverse, are themselves creative powers in constant broadcast. Thoughts laced with anxiety, pessimism, or resentment cast a magnetic field that collects, like iron filings, experiences of matching density. In contrast, when gratitude, presence, or quiet confidence is cultivated, even in small doses, those frequencies alter the hidden structure of possibility itself. Life leans in, conspiring with new alignments. Raising your vibration is not an elusive secret reserved for the chosen few. Simple, deliberate acts recalibrate your entire being. An unhurried, conscious breath pulls you instantly from the chaos of thought into a higher state of receptivity. Stepping barefoot upon the sun-warmed earth, pausing within the hush of nature, or surrendering to moments of true silence, all of these collapse the walls of separation, harmonizing your frequency with the pulse of the cosmos. Language also vibrates. Words have power to build or to bruise, to invoke nurturing alliances or conjure inner storms. The Hermeticist sees all communication as an opportunity to broadcast anew, to attune to expressions that summon wholeness, resourcefulness, and kinship, rather than repeating old scripts of blame or defeat. As vibration rises, so too does the landscape of experience. A person vibrating with contentment and hope will, often quite literally, walk into opportunities closed to those held down by despair. You do not need to believe in magic for this to be true. It is attested by 1,000 small coincidences, a cascade of synchronicities that blossom when you begin to cultivate your frequency with intent. The world is neither punishing nor rewarding you arbitrarily. It is responding with mechanical fidelity to the broadcast of your dominant state, offering up encounters, relationships, and twists of fate that echo your song. The question, then, is not whether vibration matters, but which vibration you will commit to nurturing day by day. And so the journey continues, into the realm of polarity, where every aspect of existence manifests as the interplay of seeming opposites. Light and shadow, love and fear, abundance and lack. Each a reflection of energy vibrating at different temperatures, different wavelengths, yet bound upon the same spectrum. The world does not demand elimination of darkness, but awareness and the will to transmute. Polarity is the principle that reveals how transformation happens moment by moment. Anger transforms into strength when acknowledged and directed. Sorrow deepens into creative solitude, igniting insight that had nowhere else to land. The spectrum is not fixed. You have agency, right now, this instant, to move closer to the pole that serves your greater becoming. Thus, emotional alchemy becomes possible. The Hermetic path does not advocate erasure of so-called negative emotions, but their conscious transmutation. Like an adept turning lead to gold, you can redirect the raw energy of anxiety, shame, or fear into action, compassion, or insight. Everything in nature is in process. By choosing how to direct these tides, you become a conscious artist, shaping the clay of character and circumstance. When a challenge surfaces, the chance emerges, not to deny discomfort, but to meet it, to allow its message, to ask, what is the potential hidden within this extreme? Polarity is the dance of creative tension, making all growth possible, inviting you to move, bit by bit, from powerlessness to centered alignment. Even the greatest storms pass. The rhythms of day and night, birth and decay, contraction and blossoming, all permutations along the line that joins poles. Harnessing this wisdom, you can choose to stand as the point of balance, the place where energies converge and intentions crystallize. Polarity also teaches resilience. When the pendulum swings, it does so because the primordial energy must pass through all its degrees. Your awareness, like an anchor, steadies you at the center, neither fleeing the lows nor clinging obstinately to highs. In this equilibrium, all process becomes meaningful. Every descent a precursor to ascent, every confusion a harbinger of new clarity. Thus, life's inevitable fluctuations do not break you. They become the very arena in which true mastery is forged. Through conscious navigation of polarity, what once seemed fixed becomes fluid, and suffering is recast as creative fire. A process not of erasure, but recomposition from the inside out. To witness the world through Hermetic eyes is to discover rhythm's signature in all things. The pendulum of existence swings, always, from activity to repose, union to separation, inspiration to stillness, weaving an endlessly undulating pattern whose intelligence can be neither fully grasped nor ignored. The law of rhythm is not only observable in nature, in the tides, the lunar cycles, the shifting of the stars, it is also inscribed into the pulse of your own experience, felt in the seasons of the heart, the mind, and the soul. What appears as chaos or misfortune is, through the lens of rhythm, understood as a necessary movement within a greater harmony. Life's burdens do not signal your failure, nor do moments of ecstasy or achievement confirm your superiority. These are phases, essential to growth, inseparable from the project of becoming whole. Deep winter gives way, inevitably, to the awakening of spring. After every night, the sigh of dawn. This wisdom brings solace and power. When setbacks occur or emotional storms gather, a Hermetic initiate refrains from panic or despair. Instead, perceiving the broader cycle, such moments are approached with a calm that touches on reverence for the process itself. Integration is born in the quiet spaces, and insight takes root in the darkness as much as in the light. By cultivating presence, allowing instead of resisting, one surfs the high and low tides without being thrown asunder by every passing wave. Yet, rhythm is not solely about passivity or waiting. There are inflection points where timing becomes everything. Just as a skilled gardener knows the exact moment to sow, to weed, to harvest, so too does mastery of rhythm teach when to leap forward and when to pause for restoration. Doubt, confusion, exhaustion, these are not enemies to banish, but signals inviting rest or reflection so that, when the cycle rises again, effort becomes effortless, actions are aligned, destiny feels like a current rather than a battlefield. Rituals of alignment can ground these truths within the everyday, beginning a morning quietly, breathing intention into the body before the day's noise, marking moments of achievement with gratitude, and folding failures into inquiry. What lesson wants to be known here? Even the simplest routines, returning to silence, movement, nourishing sleep, become attunements to the primal rhythm that underlies all creation. Rhythm teaches humility and patience. The most spectacular transformations are not won by force or impatience, but enacted through the union of will and surrender. Sometimes, apparent stagnation is the prelude to quantum leaps. The caterpillar enters darkness, dissolves, and is remade into a butterfly through surrender to nature's own mysterious timetable. Your own path is marked by similar passages, each recalibration, each retreat into stillness, ripening new momentum. Mastery of rhythm converts experience itself into an instrument of awakening. It allows you to witness even chaos as choreography, loss as gestation, confusion as the seedbed of subtle wisdom. Initiates learn to invite depth from all cycles, refusing to react impulsively amid the low or to seek permanence in the peak. Both extremes are recognized, embraced, and ultimately transcended by the one who flows with, rather than against, the tides of the unseen. As the pendulum swings, the Hermetic path circles back to the principle of cause and effect. Through unfailing precision, every event, every meeting, every random-seeming spectacle is the offspring of prior action, whether conscious or beyond the curtain of awareness. Life, in this understanding, is not a game of dice thrown by indifferent gods. Instead, it is a tapestry, each thread spun from choices and intentions, from the seeds planted in word, deed, and thought. The reality you walk through, in this very hour, is the flowering of causes sown over weeks, months, even lifetimes. Complaints and regrets lose power in the face of such a revelation. The call is to recognize the Creator inside, to become exquisitely deliberate about what is sent forth with each moment. No complaint, no prayer, no passing thought dissipates into nothingness. Every ripple returns ultimately, bearing the essence with which it was launched. If you crave transformation, begin not by wishing for effects, but by crafting new causes. Choose thoughts imbued with vision. Speak words chosen for resonance. Act with intention rather than habit. The Kybalion reminds you that victimhood is merely unclaimed authorship. Reclaim the pen, and the chapters that follow turn with the ink of your choosing. There is artistry in planting intentions dissolved in clarity, compassion, and purpose. Each conscious choice becomes a seed whose fruits may arrive not hour by hour, but inevitably, cradled in the arms of rhythm and cause alike. Life bends, rearranges, unfolds uniquely before the one who takes full responsibility for both origin and outcome. It is no accident, then, that you arrive at this knowledge in this particular moment. The Hermetic laws remind that reality, with all its pain and poetry, is a mirror. The reflection stares back, inviting you to recognize that your power never left. You simply forgot where to look. Beyond the forces of mind, vibration, rhythm, cause, and effect, the ancient initiates discovered a secret lying at the heart of the universe itself. Gender, not as the superficial divide of bodies, but as the underlying silence and music that ushers creation into being. The principle of gender is the subtle choreography between activity and receptivity, logic and intuition, the drive to act and the wisdom to nurture. Within you, these dualities are forever entwined, inseparable and ever creative. Every act of imagination, each moment of insight or action, contains this polarity dancing just beneath the surface. The masculine force initiates, focuses, sharpens, directs. It is the seed, the arrow, the lightning bolt. The feminine receives, nourishes, gestates, enfolds. It is the fertile earth, the open field, the vessel of emergence. Rarely are these roles as neat or static as cultural images suggest. Each breath you take, each decision contemplated, carries the whisper of this cosmic duet. To act without pausing to listen within is to burn quickly and risk exhaustion. To dream without ever summoning will to act is to wither unmet during the season of possibility. Life in balance, then, calls forth a harmony between outward striving and inward listening. Manifesting a vision depends not only on the clarity of your logic, but on the openness to inspiration, the gentle receiving of the invisible, the courage to trust intuition's often silent voice. In daily rituals, this might mean choosing to meditate in silence to open to guidance, then crystallizing those subtle messages into concrete goals and determined steps. Creation, a book, a relationship, a breakthrough, a healing, is born only when these principles entwine and birth something utterly new in the world. Ancient Hermeticists did not speak of gender in biological terms. They discerned gender as a primordial law, operating through all layers of reality, from the forming of stars to the conception of ideas in the mind. The pine cone, spiraling according to sacred geometry, reflects the marriage of expansion and containment. The tides, pulled by the silent conversation of earth and moon, mimic this interplay. So too do all relationships, between people, within communities, and above all within yourself, need this equilibrium to flourish. Where imbalance rules, stagnation and suffering follow. Action taken without inner resonance breeds frustration or collapse, just as endless visioning void of effort never materializes into impact. When you begin to honor both aspects in yourself, courage to begin, humility to listen, will to decide, tenderness to adapt, life assumes a new texture. Problems resolve with less struggle. Unforeseen support appears when you trust both sides of your being. To live consciously with the principle of gender is to rewrite your engagement with reality. Obstacles soften, and even moments of indecision transform into opportunities for integration. In conversation, you sense when to speak and when to offer silence. In projects, you feel when to push forward and when to let a period of rest restore your vitality. Such subtle adjustments are the mark of the true initiate, one who embodies, through presence, the eternal marriage of receptivity and creation. Bringing these 7 Hermetic laws together, the picture clarifies. Life is an interwoven code, an invisible map whose lines grow visible only to those prepared to act in alignment. The initiate stands no longer as a pawn, tossed by fates and forces unknown. Rather, a conscious co-creator arises, one who studies the patterns, notes the recurring rhythms, and moves with the intelligence within the weave, like a dancer meeting every turn and swell of music. Practical application matters above all. It is not perfection that unlocks the power of Hermeticism, but willingness, a readiness to repeat small acts of alignment until they ripen into quantum shifts. Even gentle changes in inner dialogue return to each morning, tilt the orbit of a lifetime. Thought is chosen with care. Intention is set before the onslaught of tasks. Gratitude is practiced during the routine, transforming each action into a step along the spiral toward mastery. For every law, there is a practice that brings it from the realm of concept to that of living reality. Mindful observation for mentalism, pattern recognition for correspondence, elevation of state for vibration, conscious response for polarity, trust in timing for rhythm, deliberate choice for cause and effect, harmonious fusion of dreaming and acting for gender. With each cycle, you become less the victim of circumstances and ever more the steward of your unfolding. To resonate as an initiate is not to boast mastery, but to practice humility before the music of creation. Your journey, like all true passageways, is both solitary and universal. Each insight lived breathes new order into the world, not just for you, but for all beings who share in this dream of the All. To rise as an initiate upon the Hermetic path is not to collect secrets for the sake of possessing them, but to become a living expression of wisdom's deepest harmonies. The laws revealed within the Kybalion are alive, forever moving, forever becoming. They are not static truths locked in ancient parchment, but living forces whose melodies shape your breath, your perceptions, your choices every day. The initiate is not defined by esoteric titles or rituals, but by a quality of inner alignment. Initiates are those who have ceased wrestling against the flow of life, who have learned to swim with its tides, discerning when to follow intuition into stillness and when to leap into decisive action. The Hermetic master is one who senses the invisible pattern underlying visible events, who recognizes signals hidden within coincidence, who meets challenge not with why, but with what wishes to be learned. Awakening does not confer immunity to pain, nor an escape from the seasons of hardship and rest. Instead, it brings a steadiness, a capacity to surf uncertainty, to adjust sails to the ever-changing winds of fate. It breeds humility, honoring the process, trusting that every setback carries a lesson prefigured by the soul's deeper wisdom. The initiate, grounded yet open, learns to listen to the subtle directive pulsing through both chaos and order. True clarity arises not from the relentless dissection of external events, but from a cultivated stillness, a space where old wounds can be met, where habitual reactions dissolve, where new responses are chosen with care. Each day, a new practice, pausing before responding, breathing presence into irritation, savoring gratitude in the midst of routine. Life offers endless opportunities to test this wisdom, not on distant mountaintops, but in the smallest moments when patience, kindness, or resolve could flourish. You are invited to become the artist of these cycles, aligning your life with the laws not through dogma, but lived experience. Gradually, the world bends toward your intention, not in the manner of miracles forced upon reality, but as a garden shaped by thoughtful tending. The changes may at first appear subtle, a bit more peace in the heart, unexpected joy in the ordinary, an uncanny pattern of synchronicity weaving its way through daily affairs. Yet, over time, these small shifts coalesce, amounting to a new relationship with the All. The Kybalion, in the end, is not a relic. It is a living map, beckoning you to mastery not over others, but over self and circumstance. Within its paradoxes and riddles reside the energies that form the galaxies, the sparks that inspire hearts to seek, the answers to questions whispered late at night when sleep refuses to come. When you align with these principles, life ceases to feel random. The universe, once chaotic and cold, begins to answer in kind, carrying you toward the precise learning and opportunities necessary for your soul's growth. Remember, you did not stumble here by idle chance. Reality itself, moved by longing and intention, has guided you to this threshold. The laws of the universe are not distant codes. They are the instructions of your own being, awaiting your recognition, honoring your choice to remember what was always within reach. You are invited now to accept this calling, not in passivity, but in courageous engagement. Step forth, experiment with your mind as a creative force, with your vibration as a tuning fork for possibility. Practice seeing the patterns, inside, outside, honoring the dance of opposites and listening for the rhythm that guides you through difficulty into grace. Let every intention, every act of harmony echo through the field, drawing towards you the next revelation, the next synchronous unfolding. Transformation is not a promise of perpetual ease. It is a vow to grow, to awaken, to live as if the universe were your own reflection, and every experience a whisper from the timeless mind of Hermes. The Kybalion's doors are now open. Your journey, a spiral of remembrance, continues, no longer as a seeker of hidden things, but as one who, having found the key, chooses to walk with eyes wide open and heart ablaze. Step into the field of creation, carrying with you the living code of the 7 Hermetic laws, shaping reality with each conscious breath. The universe waits for your next note in the infinite composition.